Voice versus vote. I love the story or the example you give in your book about, getting everybody's input, but we don't take everybody's vote because when things don't go right, who's responsible? Can you kind of share your thought there?
Sure. So most people probably don't understand the distinction in the special operations community when it comes to how missions are planned and put together compared to, say, the standard military. The captain or the XO of a destroyer don't grab all the sailors and bring them into a big room and say, "Hey, how are we going to attack this other ship?" That doesn't happen. Um, Same thing in the 82nd Airborne. The same thing in the Armored Division. I mean, the decision making and the planning is compartmented into a group of people at the top that are supposedly paid and trained to make those decisions, and everybody else just kind of follows, right? But as you know, in elite units, doesn't matter if it's American or not, you're kind of all in it together. And I'm not going to say that every mission is a suicide mission, but every mission is a high profile, high risk, high reward, and
Mm-hmm.
you may not be resourced directly like a conventional mission. So if you screw up bad enough, you're on your own, and I mean in a bad way. So there's a tradition of getting everybody's input, of getting everybody to kind of throw their idea into the stew and argue and debate about why they think we should do it this way, or we should insert by plane or insert by boat, or we should do this or do that. So I already kind of cheated when I got into business because I already had a long history of looking at all these kind of apex alpha performers with really high IQs telling me how we should do it. The problem is if I have 15 or 20 people, I can't do it everybody's way. I've got to pick a way. So I learned that I had to be open to accepting all those that information, all those inputs, all those insights. And at some point, though, it was my job. I was accountable to make a decision on what we were going to do. And if I was consistent, I found that even if we went and it didn't turn out the way I picked, and if somebody else was right, kind of like a lotto numbers or something, you can get a little bit of "I told you so" or a little bit of poking and everything. But they knew that your heart was in the right place, and they also realized that you'd listen to everybody first. In business, there is a trend, maybe the last 8 or 9 years, and in business schools too, to socialize decisions, to democratize decisions. And that's fine because it makes everybody feel like they're involved and they're participating, gives them a sense of ownership. The problem with that phrase is the decision part. If everybody gets in and crowdsources, as I described with the SEAL group preparing for a mission, if they're crowdsourcing ideas, insights, wisdom, experiences, and you come to a point where you think you've got all the information you can get from those people, and then the leader makes a decision, that's constructive, and there's somebody accountable for it. If you get a group together and they do the same thing, but at the end there's a vote, or they attempt to get everybody to unanimously vote in consensus, you can't produce any excellent outcome because it's been watered down by everybody's own sense of how much risk do I want to put into this decision. Therefore, nobody's accountable. So it's great for things like research and development. It's great for things like creative activities to come up with all kinds of different ways to do things. But actual things where there's life, death, dollars and cents, the life of a business on the line, somebody has to be accountable. But that accountable person should be wide open to all the input, all the voice they can possibly absorb in the time they have available to them before they have to decide.
Yeah. Could you imagine telling a board of directors as the CEO, they say, "Hey, CEO, hey, Marty, why did you make that decision, which ultimately cost the company, X amount of dollars or litigation or whatever?" And your response is, "Well, I put it to a vote, and that's what the team voted on."
Yeah. And the team consisted of the receptionist, the maintenance guy. It was everybody.
Yeah. You'd be gone.
Some of my directors, the guy that fixes the copy machine was there that day. We brought him in. That would be my last board meeting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So voice, the importance of hearing everybody's voice, no doubt about that. That's a critical trait, I think, for leaders. Good ideas really come from everybody. They come from your newest teammates. They come from people who have been around for a while. Not every idea is a great idea, but the good ideas and good input and risk analysis, your customer facing employees, or again, all these teammates, they see things that could be risky, and we want to hear their voice for sure. But at the end of the day, that leader has to make that decision.